Hello friends, I'm Dr. Nankishore. Diabetes is a household name today. 15 million people are living with diabetes in the world. By 2040, just 2 decades later, we might have 700 million diabetics in the world. As of now, China is the country with the highest number of diabetics in the world, with around 116 million people suffering from diabetes. Diabetes currently affects more than 62 million Indians, which is more than 7% of the adult population. Nearly 1 million Indians die due to diabetes every year. People with diabetes generally die from cardiovascular related episodes such as heart attack or stroke. This is just to stress the impact of diabetes on our lives. It's not a rich people's disease anymore. It's prevalent in all strata of society. This information is not meant to scare you. It is just to enable you to take control of your life when diabetes strikes you. Coming to the diet plan, what to eat and what not to eat. The names have been written on that too. So much so that one easily gets confused in the end. The whole concept of this video is to give you a fair idea how to choose the food that you eat. There are seemingly difficult terms like simple and complex carbohydrates, glycemic index and glycemic load. Today I'm going to try to simplify them for you. And believe me, once you understand them, you wouldn't find it difficult to choose your food. Insulin and glucagon are the two hormones that play a stellar role in carbohydrate metabolism. When carbohydrates enter our digestive system, they get broken down in sugar. Sugar enters the bloodstream and the blood sugar rises. This alarms the beta cells of Langerhans in pancreas to secrete the hormone called as insulin, which prompts cells to absorb sugar either for energy or storage. This ultimately brings down the blood sugar. When blood sugar goes down and no fresh sugar supply inside, the pancreas secretes another hormone called as glucagon, which makes liver to release the stored glucose. There is this term called as insulin resistance we should be acquainted with. There comes a stage when muscles and other cells stop responding to insulin. Hence, blood sugar and insulin levels stay high long after eating. The beta cells are overburdened and eventually wear out. Insulin production eventually stops. This prepares a stage for type 2 diabetes mellitus. Coming to the carbohydrates, they are generally classified into simple and complex. Now, the simple carbohydrates are sugars, for example, fructose and glucose. They're also called as monosaccharides or disaccharides. Simple carbohydrates are easily and quickly utilized for energy by the body because of their simple chemical structure, thereby leading to a faster rise in blood sugar and insulin secretion from the pancreas, which can have negative health effects. Coming to the complex carbohydrates, also called as oligosaccharides and polysaccharides, they contain fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and hence they take longer to digest, have less of an immediate impact on blood sugar, causing it to rise more slowly. Complex carbohydrates foods such as white bread and white potatoes contain mostly starch but little fiber or other beneficial nutrients. Classifying carbohydrates into simple and complex, however, does not account for the effect of carbohydrates on blood sugar. For example, simple sugars like fructose found in fruits is not at all bad for health, and all the complex carbohydrates aren't good for your body either. To explain this, the glycemic index was developed, and it is considered a better way of categorizing carbohydrates, especially starchy foods. The glycemic index ranks carbohydrates on a scale from 0 to 100 based on how quickly and how much they raise blood sugar levels after eating. The glycemic index of 70 to 100 come into the category of high glycemic index. They get rapidly digested and hence cause substantial fluctuations in blood sugar. The foods having less than 55 index are categorized as low glycemic index. They get digested more slowly, prompting a gradual rise in blood sugar and helps control type 2 diabetes and improve weight loss. Those foods which fall in the category of 56 to 69 are termed as medium glycemic index foods. Sweet corn, bananas, kiwi fruits, mangoes, whole grain pasta, potato chips, pizza, burgers, and chicken ice cream are the examples of medium glycemic index foods. One thing that a glycemic index doesn't tell us is how much digestible carbohydrate it delivers. Now, what is digestible carbohydrate? It is total carbohydrates minus the fiber. Hence, what they needed was a way to classify foods that takes into account both. One, the amount of carbohydrates in the food, and two, its impact on blood sugar levels. This measure is called the glycemic load. How to calculate this glycemic load? It's a simple formula. Glycemic index multiplied by amount of carbohydrate content in food. Now, if it is 20 or more, it's considered high. If it is 11 to 19, it's medium, and less than 10, it is low. Now, let's understand this. Merely classifying carbohydrates into simple and complex was not enough. Hence, they came out with glycemic index. And when they realized that even glycemic index fails to give the desired information, they came out with the term glycemic load. In a way, now we have glycemic load as a gold standard to select the foods for the diabetics. The glycemic load has been used to study whether or not high glycemic load diets are associated with increased risks for type 2 diabetes. They've observed that people who consumed lower glycemic load diets were at a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes than those who ate a diet of higher glycemic load foods. They have also observed that higher glycemic load diets were also associated with increased risk for coronary heart disease events. Let us know a little about low glycemic load foods having a value of less than 10. Brown cereals, apples, oranges, grapefruits, watermelon, kidney beans, black beans, lentils, skimmed milk, cashews, peanuts, vegetables like carrots, green peas, cereals made with 100% bran, whole grain breads like barley and whole wheat, and tomato juice. Here is a list of some medium glycemic load foods having a value of 11 to 19. Pearl barley, brown rice, oatmeal, rice cakes, whole wheat pasta and some breads, and sweet potato. And here is a list of high glycemic load foods having a value of more than 20. One should always try and avoid these foods like baked potato, French fries, refined breakfast cereals, sugar sweetened beverages, candy bars, white basmati rice, white flour pasta, pizza raisins, and dates. Here is a list of glycemic load value of food items per serving. In fact, these are the food items that you should be using. Banana cake 14, apple cake 13, waffle 10, whole wheat bread 10, tomato juice 4, oatmeal 13, milk 4, lentils 5, watermelon 4, yogurt 11, kidney beans 7, soybean 1, peanuts 0, green peas 4, honey 12, apple 6, banana 16, grapes 11, oranges 4. By no means this list is complete. You can go to the international table of glycemic index and glycemic load values to get the values of most of the food items which you use in day-to-day life. In my earlier videos, I tried to simplify the terms like BMR, BMI, MHR and THR. You now know how to calculate them. So, calculate your basal metabolic rate and body mass index. That will give you an idea how many calories to consume. Calculate your maximum heart rate and target heart rate. That will tell you how to plan your exercise schedule and how much calories you are actually burning. Say bye-bye to simple carbohydrates. Select your food items having low glycemic index and low glycemic load. Don't get bogged down by the complicated looking diet plans which are flooding the markets, which you aren't going to follow for a long time anyway. This video was only about carbohydrates. About inclusion of fats and proteins in your diet, I would speak to you in my next video. Once in a while, you can treat yourself with niceties of life like ice creams and pastries by making simple changes in your exercise schedule or planning a diet of little less calories the next day. If you like the video, like and share it. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't as yet to know about the intricacies of medicine. Thank you.